A drone attack on the Kremlin? What is true so far and what's happening in Moscow? What is the data up to now? The updates. The attack on the Kremlin has been considered by Moscow as an act of terrorism and an attempt on the life of Vladimir Putin. The Ukrainians talk about provocations or an act of resistance inside Russia but deny any involvement. But what is being prepared? In the early hours of May 3rd, 2 Ukrainian UAVs approached the Kremlin, an iconic landmark building in the city of Moscow that serves as the official residence of Russian president. The approaching drones were detected by Russian security personnel on the ground, who immediately moved to intercept and neutralize the threat using electronic warfare equipment. As a result, both UAVs were shot down and their debris was scattered over the Kremlin premises. That's what they claim. The thing is, though, how did they allow them to get so close to the Kremlin, right over the roof? I mean, that is a very strange thing. The Kremlin press service said there were no injuries or property damage from this attack. However, in video purportedly showing the aftermath of the UAV attack that has since surfaced on social media, smoke can be seen rising above the Palace of the Senate, one of the buildings located in the Kremlin district. And what happened to President Putin? Russia President Vladimir Putin, of course, we all know he's got at least 3 or 4 doppelgangers. The Russian President Putin was not present in the Kremlin during the attack and continues to carry out his duties as normal, his press service revealed. And how did the Kremlin react? In a statement on May 3rd, the Kremlin called the incident a planned terrorist attack and attempt on the life of the president of the Russian Federation, Putin. How did the city of Moscow react? This thing took place around 2:30 in the morning. It's very strange that people were up and directly aiming their cameras over the roof of the Kremlin and happened to be there awake 2:30 in the morning, pointing their cameras, their cell phones, taking videos of this thing at 2:30 in the morning. That's very strange. But anyway, how did the city of Moscow react? On May 3rd, Moscow Mayor Sergei Sobyanin announced a ban on the use of UAVs in the city, saying the only exception is drones used following decisions by state authorities. However, he made no mention of the Kremlin attack. It also appears that the drone attack did little to disrupt normal life in Moscow, with Russian media correspondents reporting that no additional security force has been spotted near the Kremlin, where city residents and foreign tourists can be seen strolling around carelessly. And how did Russian politicians react? Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky should be officially labeled as terrorist, Russian lawmaker Oleg Morozov said. And according to Morozov, the Kremlin attack marks a new stage in Russia's ongoing military operation in Ukraine, and that a sufficient military response is needed for Russia to show that actions like this UAV attack will not go unpunished. The chairman of the Russian State Duma, the lower house, Vyacheslav Volodin, stressed that the entire Nazi regime in Kiev, quote-unquote, should be recognized as a terrorist organization that have seized control of Ukraine and now threatens the security of Russia, Europe, and the whole world. He added that politicians in Western countries who supply Zelensky's regime with weapons should realize that they have now become complicit in this type of activity. How did Kiev react? Officials from the office of the President of Ukraine, Zelensky, claimed that Kiev was not responsible for the attack on the Kremlin, with one of those officials, President Advisor Mikhailo Podolyak, trying to attribute the terrorist attack to some unspecified, quote, local resistance forces, end quote. Podolyak, however, also claimed that Ukraine is conducting an exclusively defense war and does not attack targets on the territory of the Russian Federation, despite the fact that Ukrainian forces have repeatedly attacked civilian infrastructure in Russia in recent months. So what is the conclusion concerning all this? In Moscow, they didn't seem to worry that much about the attack. On the contrary, they can use it as a pretext for their movements inside Ukraine, even for escalating specific attacks. And it remains to be seen what the West's reaction will be about this. It's given that there is partial dissatisfaction in Zelensky's face, and there are voices calling for Zelensky's replacement. Let's see what happens. And this I've translated for you from a Greek article. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.